At 70, Jerry Hall finally revealed what Mick Jagger did that she never forgave. 5 weeks ago, a 70-year-old woman lay down on a couch in a London studio, and the interviewer asked Jerry Hall straight out how she had coped with her husband's unfaithfulness. 23 years, 4 children, a Brazilian model, a courtroom. She answered with one word: annoying. But in 1992, she used a different word about the same man: unforgivable. Everything that moved her from one word to the other is the story almost nobody tells. And there is a third word, spoken the same month about a different husband, that makes all of it worse. It runs through a painting hanging in a museum in Dallas, a birthday party at a chateau in France, and a judge who ruled that her marriage had never existed at all. Start with the painting, because it happened first, and because it shows you exactly what the next 2 years were going to do to her. 1997, Hall is 8 months pregnant with her 4th child, seated at a dinner party in London beside a small, intense man in his 70s. That man is Lucian Freud, grandson of Sigmund, and by then the painter the critic Robert Hughes had called the greatest living realist. He asks whether she will sit for him. He says they have to begin immediately, because the baby is nearly here. She said yes, and what came out of it was a canvas called 8 Months Gone. She is nude, reclining, enormous with child, and it is tender in a way his work almost never was. Then the baby arrives, a son, Gabriel, and she keeps going back to that studio in Notting Hill, carrying the newborn there in his carry cot, sitting for a second picture that is nothing like the first. This one is 7 feet tall. A bare room, a man reading on a small sofa, the dog asleep beside him, and in the background, in the light from the window, a naked woman nursing a baby. The woman is her. The baby is her son. She has described what those months were like, and it does not sound like work. There were long lunches. David Hockney came. The painter turned out to know an astonishing amount of poetry, so the two of them would take turns reciting it at each other, her doing Edgar Allan Poe, him doing Kipling and Coleridge. She has said that sitting for him was the first real discipline she ever had in her life, that she had very little of it before, and that she learned how to work by watching him work. There was one rule. He was ferocious about punctuality, and then she got sick. Flu that went down into her chest and turned into bronchitis, antibiotics, properly ill in bed, and she canceled a sitting, then a second one, then a third. By the third, he had made up his mind. He scratched her out. He painted over her face and her body, and into the space where she had been, he put his studio assistant, a man named David Dawson, naked, holding her baby against his chest as though nursing him. She was not told. She found out the way everyone else did. There is a detail here that matters, because it was the painter's own daughter, sitting across from her in that London studio 5 weeks ago, and she described her father's temper like this, quote, "He doesn't go out with his rage. He goes in." She said the thing she had always feared from him was that he would simply cut off, no shouting, no argument, a door closing that never opened again. That is what happened to Hall. She missed 3 appointments while she was ill with a newborn in the house, and she was removed from a painting of her own child. When she finally raised it with him, by her own account, he offered her a solution. Her exact words for what he said, quote, "Lucian said I could buy it and take off the top layer. Buy the painting yourself. Then scrape him off and find out whether you are still under there." Years afterward, she walked into a museum in Dallas, in the Texas city she grew up beside, and stood in front of it. Here is how she described that moment. Quote, "It was very upsetting. Gabriel looks beautiful, and you can kind of see me underneath. I am still there." Hold on to that sentence, because a British judge is about to do the same thing to her with a pen. Now go back 5 years, to the word she used before annoying. January 1992. Hall gives birth to her 3rd child, a daughter, Georgia May. 14 months earlier, she and Mick Jagger had married in a Hindu ceremony on a beach in Bali. Honey and yogurt offered to the groom, the Rolling Stones tour director standing as best man, 2 of their children watching. And by accounts published at the time, within days of that birth, he was in Thailand with a 24-year-old model named Carla Bruni, who would one day become the First Lady of France. Hall has said she intercepted a message from Bruni to her husband, 5 words, quote, "I'll be your mistress forever." Her own description of what that did to her is not gentle, and she has never softened it. She said she almost had a nervous breakdown, she said she cried herself inside out, and she gave it a name. She called it unforgivable. Bruni's public answer given to People magazine was 2 sentences long, quote, "He's a fossil, his wife can keep him." That July, Hall told reporters she was separated and expected a divorce. Quote, "I'm in too much pain for this to go on any longer." By October, she had gone back to him. Sit with that sequence for a second, because it is the entire marriage compressed into 1 year. He humiliates her in public. She names it as unforgivable. 9 months later, she is back home with 3 children under 9, and the newspapers move on to somebody else. If you have ever gone back to someone because leaving would have cost your children more than it cost you, you understand her better than any reporter did in 1992. Tell us in the comments whether you would have gone back. We read them. 7 more years pass. Gabriel is born. The painting happens. And from the outside, the family looks permanent. Then, in January 1999, a Brazilian lingerie model named Luciana Morad tells the world she is pregnant and that the father is Jagger. Hall files. The boy is born in the middle of May, and for more than 2 months, Jagger says nothing. He will not confirm it. He will not deny it. Every week that summer, the story runs again, and the 4 children in that house read the same headlines as everybody else, at school, at the newsagent, on television. Gabriel is 1 year old, Georgia May is 7, Elizabeth is 15. Picture being the mother in that house, not the wife. The mother, making breakfast for 4 children while the country debates whether their father has a 5th one, and having no answer to give them because you have not been given one either. Then comes the 26th of July, 1999. It is his 56th birthday. He is at his chateau in France, celebrating. According to the British papers that week, Hall and all 4 of their children were in France as well. That is the day his lawyers reach him with the result of the blood test. It is a match. The boy is his. His spokesman confirmed it publicly the next day and then shut the door in a single sentence, quote, "But the tape stops here. A birthday party, a DNA result, and 4 children in the house who now have a half-brother 2 months old." If you want the other half of this, subscribe, because next week we open the file on what Luciana Morad actually walked away with and what it has cost her son to carry that surname. Weeks before that, Jagger had reportedly paid Hall around $16 million to end the marriage. For scale, when Bianca Jagger divorced him in 1978, the reported figure was $1.2 million. And at the time of the annulment, his fortune was put at around $325 million. So she took roughly 5 cents of every dollar he had for 23 years and 4 children. And she signed it, and she did not go to the press about the number. On the 13th of August, in the Family Division of the High Court in London, a judge named Sir Michael Connell picked up the file. Neither of them was in the room. Jagger's whereabouts were not disclosed. Hall was in Dallas because one of her sisters was going through chemotherapy, and she had sent the court a sworn statement instead of her body. Think about the geometry of that day. A woman sitting in a Texas hospital beside a sister with cancer, while an ocean away, a man in a wig reads a piece of paper that deletes her marriage. The ruling took effect in England and in Indonesia at once. The 1990 wedding in Bali had never been legally valid. Not a divorce, an annulment. 23 years, 4 children, 3 homes, a wedding photographed by the world's press, void. On paper, she had never been his wife. There was no marriage to end, because a court had now decided there had never been a marriage to begin with. She told The Guardian years later that she had not liked the idea of annulling after 23 years and 4 children. Her verdict on being legally erased, delivered in that Texas drawl, was 4 words, quote, "It seemed a bit rude." She had been scratched out of a painting and told she could buy it back. Now she had been scratched out of a marriage, and this time there was no top layer to remove. And that is where we can finally answer the question. Hundreds of you left in the comments on our last video. Why on earth would a woman like that marry Rupert Murdoch? Look at the paperwork. Because of that ruling, when she walked into Spencer House in London in March 2016, at 59 years old, the law recorded it as her first marriage. Her first. After 4 children and 2 decades beside one of the most famous men who has ever lived. She had spent 16 years legally unmarried, and she had not chosen a single one of them. A judge signed a form while she sat in a hospital in Dallas. There is a detail from those 16 years that almost nobody knows. In October 2010, she put 14 works from her art collection into a sale at Sotheby's in London. Warhol, Hearst, Auerbach, and 8 months gone. The painting of herself, pregnant with Gabriel, the one where she is still visible. It sold for £601,000, roughly twice what they expected. She was 54, And this is what she said about selling it. Quote, "At a certain age, you just want to get rid of things." She said she was letting go of the past. So she sold the picture she was in and left the one she had been painted out of hanging on a wall in Dallas. 6 years later, that first legal marriage ended too. Not in a courtroom, in an email that reportedly arrived on her phone while she waited at their house in Oxfordshire for a husband who was not coming. By the account she gave friends, she had 30 days to be out of the Bel Air house. Security watched while her own children helped her pack, and she was asked for receipts to prove which things were hers. 2 men, 2 endings, and lawyers in the room for both of them. Which brings us back to June of this year, and to 2 interviews she gave 7 days apart. The first was British Vogue, published as she turned 70. That is the one we took apart last time. Asked about Rupert Murdoch, she said she had not seen him since the divorce. Not once, in years. And she reached for the word that went around the world in a day. Traumatic. 6.5 years. No children. Traumatic. Then, in that same conversation, she was asked about Jagger, and the temperature changed completely. She said he visits often. She called him a great-granddad. Her exact words. Quote, "Mick's a great diplomat." And then this, about the whole tangled arrangement of children and mothers and houses. Quote, "All the kids love each other. All the mothers of the kids love each other. It's just odd, isn't it?" 7 days later, she lay down on that couch in the London studio. She is 70 now, 3 grandchildren. And when the interviewer asks how she coped with the unfaithfulness, Hall does not perform anything at all. She says they are great friends. She says they had Christmas together. All of them, in Mystique. Her, Jagger, his partner Melanie Hamrick, whom she calls adorable, their children, some of his other children, and the grandchildren, in the same house at the same table. Then she says this, quote, "I don't think about the past ever." The interviewer presses gently, thinking out loud about the young woman she used to be, and Hall cuts across her with the plainest explanation anybody has ever given for staying. Quote, "Everyone wanted to sleep with him. He was so attractive and so talented." And then, about all of it, the Bruni year, the Brazilian model, the birthday in France, the courtroom. Quote, "Well, it was annoying, of course. Annoying." She added one more line after it. Quote, "Everything worked out the way it should have." So put her own 2 words side by side from the same month of the same year, spoken a week apart. The man who gave her 6.5 years and no children got traumatic. The man who gave her 4 children, 3 decades, a Brazilian model, and a court ruling that deleted her marriage got annoying. She is the only person alive who was ever qualified to keep that ledger, and those are the 2 entries she made. And that is the part that will sit with you tonight, because a painter took her out of a picture, a judge took her out of a marriage, and a billionaire took her out of a house. And not one of those 3 men ever apologized to her for any of it. She moved that word anyway, from unforgivable to annoying. Nobody moved it for her, and nobody gave her permission to. There is still a canvas 7 feet tall with another body standing where hers used to be. And underneath the paint, in her own words, she is still there. So tell us honestly, because this is the one we actually want to hear tonight. Would you have made it all the way to annoying, or would it still be unforgivable?